Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Pace Journal. As always, I'm your host, Nikhil Uttamchandani, joined by the international T20 fast bowler, as always, Tymal Mills, who provides some fantastic insight. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we've got something very special and different for you. You see, previously, we've been previewing and reviewing the various series happening in world cricket. But today and going forward, we've decided to change it up just a small bit by bringing you something a little bit more punchy and upbeat and just as insightful, obviously, with my good friend Tymal, our keys to victory. But before we get there, and I know you can barely hold your excitement back, before we get into that, let's set things up where we're at in this series. Obviously, being at the end of the England tour to India, we've had a 3-1 test result, won by India, and also we've just seen India win the T20 series as well, 3-2, which was a keenly contested one, and provided some fantastic cricket. But now we're on to the 3-match ODI series, all to be played in Pune. And Tymal, I would love to get your reaction on what you have thought about the tour so far.
Welcome to the Pace Journal. Welcome to the Pace Journal.
Yeah, look, it's been a great tour to watch back in England. It's been on at a good time. You know, for us, it's obviously a challenge when you're playing away tours. Sometimes you're having to watch through the middle of the night. But yeah, look, the Test series was really well watched in England, really well received. There were obviously some shorter games than what you'd like. Some big turning pitches. England obviously went 1-0 up in the Test series and then lost everyone from there, so not ideal for them. Then the white ball squad came over, Owen Morgan and the rest of the boys, probably a little bit more confident for of how they'd go about their business. Obviously defending 50-over champions and the number one ranked T20 side in the world, and again took a lead in the T20 series. That went 2-1 up, but unfortunately fell the last two games. It was a brilliant series to watch, wasn't it? That kind of 5 T20s day on day off had a nice flow to it, a nice rhythm to it. You could really kind of keep up with the stories within the match itself, and yeah, so England will be disappointed for that, but Owen Morgan's been very public, said he's learned a lot. He's looking forward to the T20 World Cup, which is of course at the end of the year in India, the final in Ahmedabad, where all the games were played. So lots of learning there, and as you say, now on to the 50 over things and 50 over games, and England will try and get a victory from this tour.
Just briefly on the upcoming ODI series, you mentioned Owen Morgan coming to India with the intentions of being more competitive than what we saw in the Test series. He definitely was in the T20s. What do you think that they're going to be looking to achieve in this one international series?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more of learning. There's going to be some guys getting games that are in and around the squad. There's no Jofra Archer, no Joe Root, and no Chris Wokes, who are three of the kind of the main players for England in 50 over cricket. So a little bit of rotation, see some other guys. Again, and they'll still have an eye on the T20 World Cup. It's still playing in conditions. Pune could well be a stadium that is used in the T20 World Cup later this year. So I want to get a little bit of a feel for how the pitch plays at different times of the day. They're day-night games. So how the pitch changes potentially. And look, you want to win games, don't you? So this is England, the defending 50 over world champions. They're not going to want to lose. But yeah, it'll be a tough contest in India's backyard with a full strength India side, pretty much.
Yeah, and obviously we know the magnitude of performance that England expect from their ODI side each and every time they go on the park. So it's going to be a very interesting series to see. Both teams very competitive, and both. I think we're both looking forward to it. Now, Tymal, we've spoken about the series. Are you ready for the fun part? I'm going to explain to the audience how this works. Each team is going to be taken by me and yourself going forward. In this case, you're going to be taking England and I'm going to be taking India. And between us, we have 4 minutes to go back and forth. There will be a timer on the screen. We will have 4 minutes to go back and forth and describe what, in our opinions, are the keys to each side in this series being victorious. It's pretty simple, so I hope you've come, well prepared. At the end of the series, though, we'll then look back, review, and see how our claims look with the benefit of hindsight, of course, that beautiful thing that we love to describe in cricket. So I'm very excited, Tymal. What about you?
Yeah, it's something different, isn't it? Actually, I've got my notes. I've been making sure I've been scribbling down, making sure I'm prepared, making sure I've got enough to talk about to fill my, 2 and a bit minutes, depending on how even we split it. But yeah, let's get it.
Don't be eating in my time. But anyways, let's get going straight away. We'll start in 3, 2, 1, now.
Okay. For my first part, I'm going to go for the batting depth of England. England Obviously, they've been on tour for a while. They've had a lot of guys on the bench, both batsmen, bowlers, spinners. But I'm going to focus this time. Sam Billings, Liam Livingstone. Sam Billings was in brilliant form at the back end of the English summer against Australia in the recent 50-over games. He's been very public. He wants to be England's finisher. He wants to, be that guy at number 6, seeing seeing his team over the line. We saw in the T20 series, England probably could have done with a right-hander in that middle order. They had a lot of lefties coming in. So look out for Sam Billings. And then Liam Livingstone, he's got the nod as the kind of the next batter coming in. He bowls some handy off spin, some leg spin. He can bat anywhere in the top 6. So if he gets a go, keep an eye out for him because he's a really big hitter. Go.
Well, my first point is going to be taking wickets in the power play from an Indian perspective. They've only taken 6 at an average of 144 in their last 10 ODIs. So they need to do that better in terms of, in England, when you look in their case, they've taken 17 wickets in the last 9 games. So it's a big difference. And I think the likes of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Shardul Thakur, and Natarajan have to step up to the plate and take wickets. Bhuvaneshwar will add that coming back into the team with his new ball skill, but it's going to be a massive difference in terms of to see if India can replicate what in England have in the first power play. Go.
So now, like I said, the batting depth, also the fast bowling depth. So Jofra Archer's injured. He's got an elbow injury. He's gone home. He's back in England. Mark Wood, I doubt he'll play all 3 games. So England normally like to have an enforcer, either Jofra Archer or Mark Wood, a 90-mile-an-hour bowler that Owen Morgan can use at different parts of the innings. If there's a partnership building in the middle, bring on your fast bowler to try and take a wicket. Power play, early wickets. So in those games that if Mark Wood does sit out a game or 2, he's had a heel problem recently, I doubt he'll play all 3. How do England go about their fast bowling? Reece Topley, he's the new bowler coming in. He's big, tall, 6'7", but he's not a fast bowler. He's more of a swing bowler, hit the pitch a little bit, off cutters, leg cutters. Sam Curran, Tom Curran, Ben Stokes. So no 90-mile-an-hour bowler there when Mark Wood isn't playing. How does Owen Morgan distribute his bowlers in those games?
Halfway through, Tymal is nervous. My second point, India's number 6. A lot of names come up for this discussion. It's very critical to their balance. Will it be KL Rahul, Krunal Pandya, who they brought in, or even Washington Sundar? I think, they need that 5th bowling option with Hardik Pandya there. If they play Rahul, we could see, them being a bit too much batting heavy. If they play Krunal Pandya or Washington Sundar, it may give them that additional option as a bowler. So I'm very interested to see. I think it will be a critical part as to the way the India selectors go in terms of picking that great combination and choosing the man to bat at number 6. Go.
Again, like I've spoken, bowling depth, fast bowling depth, batting depth, spin bowling depth. Aadil Rashid, pen him in. He's England's number 1 spinner. He was brilliant just now in the T20 series, opening the bowling. Behind that, what have we got? Moeen Ali, you'd expect to come back into the side. He's got a great white ball record for England, but didn't find himself getting a game in the T20 series just now.
1 minute.
I'd like to think he'll come back in, and his bowling will be handy. And obviously, he's a batter as well, coming in that lower middle order. Big role for Moeen Ali, big chance to hopefully get him some game time, having not played a game pretty much all winter apart from 1 test match. Matt Parkinson is the other backup leg spinner. Lancashire, he gives it some flight, he gives it some spin, some guile. Hasn't played a game. He's been on tour with England all winter, the whole test series in Sri Lanka, all the tests in India. He's literally been in the bubble for about 3 months. He hasn't played a game. Will he get a game now in the squad, and how will he go playing against Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and the like? Go.
Limited time, Shikhar Dawan, massive part, opening the batting. He's been confirmed to do so. He's dropped from the T20 team as an opener, averages 32 against England in his career in 12 matches. Last 10 innings, he's got 46.5 average, 450s and 100. I expect him to be a crucial part of this series and a major reason why if India are to do well and overcome the England threat.
Perfect. 4 minutes, done. Stop the clock.
I must say, for our first interaction in the new segment, I loved it, but it's very intense, man. It's extremely intense.
Yeah, under pressure. Got to get your words in. I'll be completely honest. I made my last one last a little bit longer than maybe I should have, because after that I didn't really have a lot else written down in my notes. So I was just hoping that I wouldn't be caught short. But I'm happy that we got it in.
Tymal played the very dirty game, man. He didn't give me a chance. He rushed me down to the wire, tried to defeat me. But honestly, great insight coming from you as usual, Tymal. Let's really reflect on some things that you would have spoke about. That bowling depth is especially, I think we've seen guys like Reece Topley, etc. How big of a part do you think these guys will have to step in, now with the absence of a Jofra Archer and some of the more experienced guys like Chris Woakes, who's being rested as well?
Yeah, look, they're going to play. All the guys are going to play, I would have thought. So, look, Chris Jordan and Jake Ball, they've just been named as reserves, so they're not in the official squad. So, you say Reece Topley, who was at the 2016 T20 World Cup. He's had a lot of injuries, had multiple stress fractures. It's a big, tall left arm bowler. How will he fare in the conditions? Obviously, he's a kind of an out and out swing bowler, so I'm sure he'll take the new ball. But then his challenge may come in the middle and the back end when obviously that ball isn't swinging anymore. So there'll be a little bit of pressure on him. Tom Curran had a tough go of it in recent times with England. Sam Curran was kind of not used very much in the T20 series. He was batting low down the order. Sometimes he was opening bowling, sometimes he was barely bowling at all. So there's a lot of guys there that haven't really played regular cricket. So I think that's the main problem for England. They've got guys coming into this series on the back of not playing a dreadful amount, but for the most part, guys that have performed at this level before. So I think it'll be a good challenge, and one that these guys, they're fiercely competitive. They'll be looking forward to.
Just one more thing. I think the point you made about Sam Billings and Liam Livingstone, seeing how these guys step up in the absence of a Joe Root who's also being rested, I think is so fascinating. And I really can't wait to see the sort of impact that they'll have, because India is not an easy place to play cricket, especially for Liam Livingstone, who will look to make his debut. So I think the middle order stability of England is a very important aspect, as we know. The likes of Ben Stokes will have to step up, but very excited to see those two guys in action.
Yeah, and against this India side, that I said, that's firepower with bat, ball in the field, home conditions. They'll be a very tough side to beat. Especially we saw in the last couple of games in the T20s how when that Indian batting lineup comes off, it can be pretty devastating. Surya Kumar Yadav coming into the team straight away and just smacking it to all parts. It's going to be a tough challenge for England. And on the other side, India will be looking to put these guys under pressure. These new guys that haven't played a lot, they'll be looking to, put the foot on them and really drive home any advantage they can get.
And just from what I would have said, I definitely think for India that number 6 probably is the major key for me, because I'm really interested. I'm intrigued to see the way, the direction that the Indian selectors go. Because do you play KL Rahul and sort of bolster that batting? We've seen him being able to do the job. Or do you play that bowling option? Because you don't want to go in there with just 5 options. And then, we know the possibilities of people having a bad day, getting injured, that sort of stuff. So it's very intriguing to see. It'll be an interesting direction to see which the Indian selectors and the Indian captain goes in terms of selecting that team for the ODIs.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, you got to find that balance, and I'm sure both teams will use the 3 games to maybe play around with things a little bit, and see what their best combinations are.
And of course, this is ODI cricket, but all in preparation for that World T20 later in the year. It is white ball cricket, and it will help. Tymal, let's move on though. One thing that you would have tried to run away from, but you can't. You're being smoked right now, is in the friendly wagers. I know you've been destroyed recently, but that's not going anywhere. We've got some more friendly wagers prepared. So are you ready, Tymal?
Yeah, let's get it. It's a new series. I'm ready.
Okay, so the first friendly wager I'm gonna put to you: more runs between Virat Kohli or Jason.
Virat Kohli, look, 50 over cricket. He's the king. He especially if they're chasing. So I heard you start to say Jason Roy, but Virat Kohli. Thanks. Next question.
Actually, I'll change. Okay, no, we'll do it again. Virat Kohli or Owen Morgan. So both captains going at it.
Virat Kohli. Don't even need to explain myself. What are you saying?
I think Kohli's been in good form. He showed it in the T20 that he's really determined to get some runs in this tournament. So I think, while I really do, the ability of Owen Morgan in one-day international cricket is fantastic. I guess it's hard to go against Kohli, but it's not what I wanted to achieve, because I'm trying to, I'm trying to space out my lead here against you. But anyways, let's move on to, from a bowling perspective. I'm looking at, both 11s now, and obviously both teams have a lot to prove. For England, not a lot of new names. In terms of the spin, let's look at the spin specifically. I'm expecting to see Yuzvendra Chahal feature in most of these games so leg spin against leg spinner. Aadil Rashid, Yuzvendra Chahal, more wickets. This is a tough one.
Yeah, it is. They're quite contrasting T20 series. Chahal ended up getting dropped, whereas Aadil Rashid, really adapted to his new role in the power play. So yeah, I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm going to go with Rash. I'm going to stick with Aadil, and I'm going to back him home. Hopefully, he plays all 3 games.
See, I should have gone first in that one, so I could have picked Aadil Rashid. But since, I'm willing to take the risk because I think they're two phenomenal bowlers, I'm going to go with Yuzvendra Chahal. I hope, for my sake, that Kuldeep Yadav doesn't end up playing, or maybe plays alongside him. That hasn't happened since the World Cup. But I hope that we can see both of them so that it doesn't affect my, wager a bit too much. But nonetheless, I'm hoping for some clean and good bowling from both the bowlers, man. I think it's gonna be fantastic for sure. Final one, Tymal, it's a new one. I like the third one to always be a new one. So, like, for example, in the Test series where I spoke about Ben Foakes and Pant with the most dismissals, better strike rate at the end of the series between Jos Buttler and Hardik Pandya. Actually, I'm gonna go first on this one, and I'm gonna pick Jos Buttler. Very an unpopular one, but based on the hitting ability of Hardik Pandya. But I think we've seen, I've been extremely impressed with Jos Buttler in that T20. It is a very hard selection, but I'm going with Jos.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I'll make it interesting. I'll go with Pandya. He comes in a little bit later in the order, and yeah, he tees off ball one, doesn't he? So, I'll take Hardik this time, Benny. We can make it a little bit tasty.
Interesting from both of us. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the new format of the show. We'll be back with you, though, at the end of the series to see exactly how these teams have got on and look at Tymal's, and myself's both picks keys to victory at the end of the series. And, of course, see Tymal continue to lose in the friendly wagers. Tymal, I hope you've enjoyed the new segment and the new show. What did you overall think about it, man?
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? A little bit more punchy, a little bit, hopefully it's a little bit more digestible, a little bit shorter. Again, put us under a little bit of pressure. Make sure we got enough notes written down before we come in. It's good. I think we'll continue with this moving forward. Looking into the IPL as well after this series.
Yep, a lot of fantastic content to come. Thanks as always, guys. Be sure to follow us on @PaceJournal on Instagram. Like, share, and subscribe to the show. Tell a friend. Thank you so much to each and every one of you that have watched it, and do join us next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Welcome to the Pace Jug.